So tell us how the Joist work actually. Is it what's the mechanics of that?
What we did on Joist is we built our workflows, our extraction process very similar to what would do.
Why would someone use Joist, say, as opposed to like just doing it themselves and perhaps like looking at the project and writing a nice fancy description, that kind of thing?
AEC firms, the mid-market and enterprise level, they spend doing these proposals, right? It's very collaborative, seller-doer mentality. Your technical staff's working on it as well. And once they're done with that particular effort and proposal, they're typically storing that proposal away on a server somewhere. And on an average, you forget about that particular effort in about months. So you're just invested thousands of dollars all this time and you're forgetting about it. That's basically zero ROI.
So what are your thoughts on the business model that you are in, and what is your charging model right now?
We do annual and the contracts are essentially set with different tiers, like small, medium, and large, based on the size of the company.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Bricks and Bytes podcast, where we dive into construction and AEC technology. Before we get started though, if you're a startup founder or operator responsible for innovation in your company, or you want a deeper, more insightful look into technology in AEC, you won't want to miss our newsletter. From deep dives into particular technologies such as AI, robotics, design, software, and so on. Hot takes from investors betting big in AEC technology, and advice on building tech companies, including the stories and takeaways of the most successful AEC technology founders. Head over to www.bricks-bytes.com and sign up today to get this exclusive material straight to your inbox. And now for the episode.
This episode is brought to you by Build Vision, transforming construction supply chain by bringing contractors, manufacturers, and stakeholders onto a single software platform. Visit buildvision.io to find out more.
Hey everyone, this episode forms part of a series where we dive into the world of AI and documentation management. If you want to go even deeper, head over to bricks-bytes.com/downloads to download our extensive report. In the report, we cover a comprehensive analysis of the AI construction technology landscape, including detailed profiles of 5 leading companies. We break down their business models, growth, and unique technological approaches, essential intelligence for understanding where the market is headed and identifying potential investment opportunities. We explore an actionable framework for evaluating AI solutions, specifically distinguishing between true innovators and wrappers. This helps you assess which companies are developing defensible technology versus those simply repackaging existing solutions, crucial insight for making informed investment or partnership decisions. We also look at real implementation case studies and ROI metrics from enterprise customers, including how companies like Gilbane are saving substantial sums per month in rework costs, and how others are achieving 80 to 90% time savings in contract review processes. These concrete examples help validate market potential and scalability. The report is particularly valuable for corporate venture teams, innovation teams, and construction project teams looking to understand where the real opportunities lie in construction AI. If you want to download the report, head over to www.bricks-bytes.com/downloads. But now for the episode.
Rohan, it's good to have you back. This is second time your appearance on Bricks and Bytes. Will be in slightly different kind of subject point today. We're going to dive deeper into Joist. So, Rohan, if you could tell us like a little bit about your background leading up to the sort of inception of Joist.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me. I think the 2 time means we are friends now, officially. So
Yes, we are.
opportunity. I'm a civil engineer by degree. I did my engineering in India. I did my master's in US at Texas A&M, and then started with a really large general contractor in California on a project. And I was fortunate to essentially have my roles spread across field, office, to BIM and VDC, to innovation, to significant amount of time working with marketing and sales processes. So I had a liberty of learning about the business from every angle perspective, and then really just build up my knowledge around the workflows and processes in the industry. And thankfully, I had a lot of mentors growing up. So I get to pick their brains on a everyday basis.
So you come from construction and you're still continuing to build in construction.
Absolutely. I'm very passionate about the industry. I'm one of my mission is to, empower the people, and that's what I'm focused on.
Yeah. Excellent.
On your subject, do you want to touch on it or not?
No, I was just going to say, let's go into Joist then. So can you tell us about, oh, well, you wanted me to ring up the thing about kids?
That's right.
Yeah. That's what
You're
Okay,
expecting.
cool.
You're expecting.
Yeah. Me, I've got number 2 is like, I don't know, hours, minutes, or maybe a week or so away. So very close. Yeah, thank you.
I always say this, the phase leading up to the delivery of the baby where dads can't do much other than helping moms. But after, baby is out, you can actually help out mom and, touch and feel the baby, which is amazing. It's magic.
Yeah, I feel like I have this haze hanging over my head, like just waiting for it to come now. Yeah, but yeah, you have 2 young kids, aka minivan dad. Tell us more.
Yeah, I mean, I love spending time with the kids. I drop them to school every day. I pick them up from the school as well. And I have a block on my calendar where I spend 4 hours by default every day with them. In the evenings, take them to park, take them to swimming, take them to, on the beach to hike, and really spend time with them, because I think that's a precious side of our lives growing up. Is I don't want to lose that experience of spending time with the kids as they grow up. I sleep less and spend more time with the kids. That's how I compensate for it.
Perfect. Great combo. Okay, let's go. Tell us about Joist then. So what problem are you guys solving? And how did you kind of come across this?
Yes. What sparked the love for document management and for the platform like Joist?
So, I mean, Joist was born out of my first-hand experience working in the industry. I felt that so let's take a step back, right? Document management is a universal problem in our industry, no matter what processes, what expertise or what area of your roles are across the board. And I felt like if you think about the different phases of project lifecycle, you're going through sales and marketing motions, and then you're executing the project. I wanted to focus on the pre-award phase specifically because I feel like the go-to-market motions are much more efficient at a scale. And the problem is very intense as well because that phase directly impacts the revenue of the business. So it's the business critical workflow, which is one of the reasons why we decided to focus on this particular problem. Now, from my experience, I've worked a lot of proposals, hundreds of those through my career. And every time I felt like we are reinventing the wheel, like, hey, we wrote about this somewhere, or we know we answered this somewhere, where is it? And we would go into a pigeonhole and try to find things across the board. This problem, then I noticed, is not just me, but pretty much everybody working around me in the same organization, outside our organization that we partner up with. So that basically consolidated our hypothesis is the problem of inefficient and fragmented sales content management is universal and it's pretty intense. And that's basically what prompted us to solve.
Mm-hmm. So my experience with writing proposals, and I write all of those for my little business, is that if I see similar project, and it's quite extensive to write it, then I say, oh, which one was it? How can I quickly copy and paste the scope and just adapt it, adjust? So tell us how the Joist work actually. Is it, what's the mechanics of that?
You actually answer that when you're stating the problem. When you answer that question, you're trying to retrieve the information about a project and you're essentially trying to figure out what that product was about or what that response was about. So what we did on Joist is we built our workflows, our extraction process very similar to what humans would do. When you read through all that data from the historic perspective, you start basically connecting the dots, right? You start basically establishing the relationship between different data points. So you're essentially building a knowledge graph yourself. And that's exactly what Joist does is as customers upload their proposals to Joist, we're extracting data points from them and we're building relationship between data points and we're building a knowledge graph. Think of that as a human brain.
Mm-hmm. But is it like a database of drawings? That's assuming for an engineering firm, as I can make a judgment on the scope and on the fee proposal based on the drawings that I can see, right? And that's usually the data I've got. Sometimes
Right.
like a written scope. Is it?
Absolutely.
Is it that how Joist would work? They would like
No.
look at.
We're not focused on any of the engineering drawings or any other like cost estimating side of the business. We're super focused on the qualifications and background and other parts that you have to write about. Hey, this is our firm history. This is the product experience. This is the resumes and people, or this is what we basically do as a firm. So you have to submit a lot of data to get qualified for an opportunity. You have to submit a lot of data, a lot of information to essentially propose for a project outside cost and factual numbers, the schedule. So we are essentially focused on everything outside estimating and schedule for proposals.
Gotcha.
So more like the kind of like a qualitative narrative, that kind of thing. And is it like so is it, why would someone use Joist, say, as opposed to like just doing it themselves and perhaps like looking at the project and writing a nice fancy description, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so this is actually a really good question. If you think about it, AEC firms, the mid-market and enterprise level, they spend thousands of dollars doing these proposals, right? It's very collaborative, seller-doer mentality. Your technical staff's working on it as well. And once they're done with that particular effort and proposal, they're typically storing that proposal away on a server somewhere. And on an average, you forget about that particular effort in about 8 months. So you're just invested thousands of dollars all this time and you're forgetting about it. That's basically zero ROI. Now,
Yes.
if you think about it the other way, if you bring those back to life, then you have an opportunity to essentially, save your time upfront and then take your time out from technical staff so that they can focus on billable hours. And now it's a double win for you. You're actually increasing the revenue by adding billable hours and then going after more work as well.
Yeah. It's not only zero ROI, but it's actually lost investment, right? It's
So one
Yeah.
of our customers actually said it really well, is their goal for implementing Joist is see a 2% growth in their revenue, which basically translates to about $4 or $5 million.
Very nice. And also, and it's not just about growth, as far as I understand, it could also be about reducing the cost internally for the production of the proposal. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I mean, if you think about our industry, right, proposals are a business critical workflow to win the job. It could be to your point, it could be a one-page, one-line email, or it could be a 6-page document, or it could be a 200-page document. It just depends on size of the company, size of the project, relationships, and so on. But you have to do that to essentially contractually get the job. So that's where basically our hypothesis comes from.
So I looked up on Crunchbase, and have you got two products right now? Is AI-powered marketing and proposal automation, and another one is AI-powered marketing, content automation, and management. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you elaborate on, I guess, the first one you already did, the second one?
So what we're doing right now is we're building a new category called sales enablement, where you're essentially bringing all your data, all your content together in one place and giving access to your sellers when they need it, right? So that's the fundamental concept of sales enablement. What we're also doing that's actually pretty special is we're actually looking inside the content, and we're essentially doing analytics on top of your content. So understanding, hey, you submitted 15 proposals for this particular client. Out of those 15 proposals, these are the frequent themes you have. These are the patterns you have. These are the people that you're talking about. These are the projects you're talking about. This is why you're winning the project. This is why you're losing the project. This is the strategy that you're communicating inside those proposals. And this is how you stand out. And this is what you're selling. So understanding that analytics is at a scale is a problem. People don't really have that insight at a scale. So that's number one. And number two, bring that context back when you're going after that same client again next time, and giving you that insight. By the way, this worked last time and you're not talking about this, or hey, this is what the feedback you received from that client and you're not talking about this particular debrief. You're not addressing that debrief in this particular pursuit. So bringing the context back when you need it doesn't really happen at scale as well. So that's something we're doing using AI right now.
Okay, cool. So who would be the main customers? Is this like a big multi-billions, or is it like, I don't know, 500K turnover companies? Anyone in between?
This is actually a really funny story there. When we started building Joist, all I knew about being, having worked with a multi-billion general contractor, my hypothesis was we're building Joist for a really large multi-billion dollar general contractor. And we were surprised that we got traction from engineering and architectural firms that are like 10 to 15% shop. So to answer your question, Joist right now is uber focused on mid-market AEC firms in the US. That's our bread and butter right now. And we are being opportunistic with enterprise, like really large clients, because it's all about time and resources, and we don't have time and money to go spend months chasing bigger clients either.
Yeah, that's interesting, actually. Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to a group of architects yesterday, and they have a team of around 10 people, and they were talking to me about all of the products they have in the pipeline, and their customers wanting them to give them a fee proposals, but they don't have time to do it because they are so busy on managing things, and business is going well apparently, right? So there's definitely need within this medium segment because these people don't have dedicated people who do only this, right?
And that's the industry in general. As an industry, we are very operations focused, operationally driven. A lot of companies don't have HR. A lot of companies don't have accountants. A lot of companies don't have marketing staffs because everybody's just focused on the technical side of the business, which is where they're good at. And that's where they scale. Like, let's get more projects, let's hire more architects, engineers, and then let's keep on going up for more. And then at some point you start realizing that you need an org behind it to build that machine, right? So from Joist's perspective, that's an ICP that we have in mind, because proposals for them are simple, 6-page, 7-page, same format. They're just changing a small set of variables and done.
Just a quick pause. If you're finding this valuable, we've got a comprehensive report that dives even deeper into AI in construction documentation management. From market analysis of leading startups to real ROI metrics from enterprise implementations is your guide to understanding the AI construction documentation management landscape. Download it at www.bricks-bytes.com/downloads. Now back to the show.
And that's where we feel AI is going to be magical for those that category in general at some point.
Yeah. Do you have some sort of figures or stats on like how long it takes a typical person to do a proposal now versus like how much time it would take with Joist?
So it depends on the type of proposal. If like Martin was talking about small architectural firm that does 6-page proposal, they're spending about 2 to 3 hours per proposal to basically get it together. Polish
How
it
much,
and
sorry?
2 to 3 hours is what I've seen. And I've been part of proposals where we spent 2 years chasing a project and through multiple and spent millions of dollars, right? But on an average, AGC says general contractor spends about $10,000 per proposal and about 2 weeks to 3 weeks per proposal on a multi-million commercial project.
Yeah. And how long did you say Joist? For 2 to 3 hours with Joist?
So from Joist's perspective, we expect that to cut down to an hour for a small architecture firm, less than an hour, because all you're doing is prompting to generate a proposal.
Oh, but how does the implementation look like? Because if someone is just joining, I think you need some data, right? Yeah.
So we ask for content. The best form of content from AEC firms' perspective is their past proposals, because there's a lot of context about the firm for us to build that knowledge graph that allows us to learn about their historic projects, historic people, their services they offer, their specialty, their differentiators, and all that stuff, right? That basically allows us to build a solid foundation of content and information and data for that particular firm. And from that point onwards, they can essentially get off the ground with small specific workflows.
Yeah. So like creating the sort of like whole knowledge base, and then just a matter of prompting to get to sort of extract that content and put it into such a way that it's proposal standard.
Yeah, and we are in the process of, so we just released the proposal product, the automation product, to a closed group of customers, and we are going through a feedback loop with them, like, okay, let's test out this particular scenario, let's test out this scenario, and essentially generate that first draft with a few clicks of buttons is what we're building right now.
Nice. How about images? Can you generate, say, hey, this is a really nice project I completed, and then little star caveat generated by
images
AI.
is a whole different ball game if you think about it.
Yeah.
We aren't there yet. And I don't know, I can't really say how we are going to solve that problem. It's either through partnerships or integrations or building something from scratch. Right now, building something from scratch doesn't make sense for us. So we'll probably solve that problem through integrations with existing players. And the idea there is, let's bring that index and data together. We already know what images are being used on existing projects. What are the frequently used images in certain contexts? Because if you're talking about quality control, you're using a specific graphic or a specific image pretty frequently. So we know that already. So predicting that is not hard, but predicting bringing a high quality graphic or image there is a problem for us. So that could be solved either through integrations or manual uploads.
Yeah.
Rohan, so assuming that the architect or engineer or contractor supplies you with the content, what's the next touch point with you or one of your staff? Do the client need to communicate with you at later stages, or it works like a SaaS that there's no need for manual kind of work from your side?
No, so it's a complete SaaS. We are giving the keys to our customers on day one, and they're the ones responsible to upload the data. And essentially, if they want to go organize the data, they can organize the data they want. They don't really need to, because we're building agents there that can essentially tag it for them as well. But that's essentially establishes the baseline from there. It takes about a few hours to automatically set up the entire knowledge graph, but it's completely automated at this point that human don't need to be in the loop.
Very nice.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on the business model that you are in, and what is your charging model right now?
So we took a page out of Procore's playbook from business model perspective and pricing perspective. We do annual enterprise contracts, and the contracts are essentially set with different tiers, like small, medium, and large, based on the size of the company. So we have different definitions for general contractors versus architects versus engineers based on their sizes, and then that essentially drops them into a certain bucket.
So you define the cost of the SaaS based on the number of the headcount. Sorry.
Headcount. We go by headcount. That gives us an idea about the revenue in general. I mean, it's pretty standard. You can predict the size of the company from revenue perspective based on the headcounts typically.
Yeah. Fine. All right. Can I follow up? Or
I was just going to ask how you kind of got to that pricing model.
One.
Did you consider?
That was the laziest approach.
Love it.
I mean, we are moving so fast, to be honest. Like, we're experimenting a lot of different things, and then we experimented on pricing. And I think pricing is something that we'll continue to work on for next 2 years. The way we are trending towards pricing is we have a base platform price, and then we'll graduate towards token-based pricing on top of the base price. That way, users and customers can generate more things as they want and desire.
Mm-hmm. So, do you have any competition within what you do with Joist?
There are parts and pieces, yes. I mean, of course, no business has no competition, in my opinion. So there is, of course, competition. And
but is it like for like type of business, or someone doing similar thing, or not really?
Yeah, it's outside sector. There are different similar concepts that exist, but within our sector, there are certain companies that are trying to take certain parts, like knowledge management could be one, or content management could be one, or hey, we are going to store all your documents in one place could be one. So there is competition that overlaps. You think of this as a Venn diagram.
Mm-hmm. So as a founder of Joist AI, what do you think about deflationary nature of software as a service model and deflationary nature of the software, really? So in time and theory, we should have more similar companies, and they should provide similar level of service. So the probably price competition, perhaps. So then you start competing on the price, unless you go further and beyond, and you provide additional services which people are willing to pay for. What's your take on this?
It's a deep question, Martin. But if you think about it, in my opinion, um, I guess there are two things, right? Number one, what matters in the long run is staying close to customers and keeping the ears on the ground and building the product in a very agile way that allows you to continue evolving the infrastructure and the architecture of the product. Now, the competition is going to show up, and I think 360 space is a great example of what happens when new services, new technology rises, right? Auto builders started early on, and then construction sites started with them, and then as the industry started getting crowded, the services started changing, the business model started changing, and that's where your question is coming from, I guess, right? So to answer your question, I think picking a very focused niche, a very focused problem, number one, staying close to the customer, being agile, and then going deep into that particular problems area, the niche, is what basically separates people from, getting overwritten in a long run, in my opinion. But again, staying agile is very important. If you think about the common wisdom from the startup community is go find a company that's been in business for 30 years. Their architecture is pretty old by now, and they're not going to, figure out a way to innovate, and go start attacking that particular business in general is what people do. The easiest way to find a company like a problem solution is finding that old architecture. So you don't want to be that dinosaur 25 years down the line that can be overwritten by newer entrants.
Yes. So basically being the best in the field and your vertical.
Being the best, solving the business critical problem, going deep with your customers, and bring that value to them. That way you don't become replaceable tool for them.
High differentiation and low complexity.
Exactly. Keep things super simple. And you think about the point solution versus platform mentality. I think point solution, let's take a step back, right? If you think about point solutions start popping up into the market when there is a new transformation. For example, mobile, like, iOS and iPad was launched. We saw a lot of point solutions being brought out, and then we saw consolidation in the industry. I think AI right now is at the same phase where we're seeing a transformation of technology and mindset in general that's going to basically bring out a lot of point solutions, and then we'll see a consolidation happen as we continue towards maturity.
Yeah. Okay. Can we talk about sort of you guys, as we just discussed, you're currently bootstrapped? I don't know if that's the right term here specifically, but you haven't got investors.
I mean, in modern terms, that you can call that as a bootstrap.
Yeah. Okay. And you're profitable as well, company?
Yeah. We are on a path for 7-figure revenue run rate right now. We are actually not entertaining all the leads coming into the pipeline either, because we are so focused on specific type of customer.
Beautiful.
Love it.
So on this, like, why did you? It's a weird question to ask, but it's a very good question in the startup world. Why did you decide to be profitable and not to take someone's money and
burn?
Yeah, this is a great question, and I think it all depends on the situation, right? I could, like, we personally, we always when we run a family finances, we always run our finances thinking we're going to run on one income anyways. So from personal side, I'm not in a hurry to make money. We can run on one income, right? Now, second is a fundamental belief. Our team believes in being very conservative when it comes to spending and being very efficient with the capital spend in general. So the way we even do our hiring is, all right, we are bringing this much revenue this month. That means we can go hire new people now. Let's go hire. So we are being basically self-funded in a way. And it all comes from how I was raised back in India, right? We are very resource aware in general. Like, we don't overspend. We didn't overspend growing up, and that's the same mentality we are bringing here as well. And the second part is, my personal belief is, if we are taking investment from someone, we better have our shit figured out, right? It should essentially minimize the risk all over the places if you're asking for money from someone. And money is better spent, in my opinion, when you have a fire. You basically go use that money to buy a fuel to throw on that fire and basically amplify from that perspective. So understanding the messaging, understanding the positioning, understanding the problems, understanding the competition in the market, and really going deep 10x into that particular space is very important before you go out and ask for money, because at that point you have a really, really deep understanding about the overall nature of the business and where you can take this business towards the next 10 years. So that inflection point needs to happen organically, in my opinion. And at that inflection point, raising money becomes far more easier than super early stages.
Yeah, makes sense. So you like, you're probably almost at that point where you may are you considering raising?
I think we should hit that inflection point pretty soon, and we are there. We are growing organically. We're onboarding 2 new resources this month, really incredible talent, one on sales side and engineering side, and we should basically hire 6 more people without raising this year as well. But again, for you to multiply that growth and hit that target and that fire to the fuel to the fire phase comment, you need to raise at some point. So we will go raise in near future, but I can't really tell you when.
Yeah, no, nice.
Personally, I hate the fact that as a founder, I need to spend my time raising, because that's time away from customers and product.
Yeah. So actually, it sounds like you're going to make it very easy for yourself and not follow the hard route, right? So it should actually be less time consuming than what if
That's
you were
the
just
goal.
trying to race this from day one.
That's the goal. It's a chicken and egg problem. We focused on the hard part first by focusing on customers and revenue and product, and hoping that it'll pay off. So it's a bet.
Yeah. What are the main kind of costs for you guys? Like, what is like do you spend most of your money currently?
I'm smiling because our biggest cost is infrastructure and compute, right? And those who know me know that I love to experiment, and some of our recent cost is coming from a lot of experimentation around things, like trying to push the envelope and figure out things, which is actually expensive in this time and age where things are over capital intensive. So that's something that I was actually looking at and talking to our team yesterday about optimizing the cost from infrastructure perspective. But to answer your question, infrastructure is the biggest cost right now. And we're not spending any dollars towards sales and marketing at all. Like, pretty much all of our customers inbounded to us through our website, which is actually another thing that you don't typically see.
Oh, nice. So very more inbound sales. Is that like I mean, it's a stupid question, but did you mean for it to be that way, or is it just so happened?
Just happened. Like I always say this: we're not building this company because AI exists, but AI happened to be at the same time. And I always say AI is a channel right now. It allows us to build that buzz and essentially get a lot of interest across the board. And AI is actually helping people educate as well, because they can realize the potential of what technology can do for them. And from our perspective, we see 3 types of customers. Number one is, hey, we have to go use AI, but we don't know where to start. And the second type is, okay, we know we're going to use AI for these business cases, but we can't make this much investment into building it internally. And the third type of customers is, we built it internally, but it doesn't solve the purpose. What do we do now? So we are seeing all 3 types coming in to us right now.
I want to touch on geography. You mentioned that you currently are in the US. What stays on the way to go abroad?
Time and resources. Again, everything comes back to time and resources, right? For us to go abroad, of course, we'll have to figure out the market there, figure out the regulations and so on, and how do you charge them, how do you get paid, and so on. So we don't have capacity to target other countries either at the moment. I mean, we'll be happy to work with everybody and figure it out, but again, staying focused matters a lot for early stages, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And your team, geographically spaced, all in you're in Bay Area, right?
I'm in San Diego.
Oh, even better.
South of San Francisco, an hour and a half flight away.
Oh, cool. And I know you your team is. Did you say earlier that you had your engineering team was in India?
Yeah, so we have our engineering team based out of India, and most of the go-to-market team in US. Even in US, we are 100% remote. We have folks in Austin. We're onboarding someone in San Francisco pretty soon, LA, and San Diego.
Yeah. So funny, we actually spoke to Altaf from Snaptrude. Yeah, and he had exactly the same model: go to market in US and engineering team in India.
He's a legend. I mean, of course, it's a blueprint and it works.
Yeah,
Yes.
you guys know something we don't.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like from an early stage perspective, like again, time and resources, right? How do you optimize and speed up the product development? How do you keep the cost and resources, capital intensive resources, lower side? You know, Eastern Europe, India, South America, all these regions are a great opportunity for startups to leverage that lower capital investment and then having that speed to market at the same time. And I happen to have my family in India that allowed us to basically build the infrastructure there. And we were lucky to have some really, really amazing engineers start with us that allowed us to double down on that region.
Nice. I mean, it's a competitive edge, right? So, all for it.
What?
It's yeah. What you mentioned earlier, you don't necessarily focus on quantitative, like issue or points within the software. Are there any other sort of limitations within?
Totally. I mean, from a limitation perspective, I think our biggest limitation as a product is integrations. We were kind of deliberate on not building integrations to other softwares on day one because it, again, bigger the footprint you have, more things you have, bigger the can of worms you have. So again, that time and resources is very impactful there. So we didn't really build integrations on day one. We are at a point where we need to start building those integrations as well. And we are building infrastructure for that. But to answer your question from limitation perspective, integrations is something that I would call it a limitation or shortcoming for us.
Yeah. I just want to touch on the partnerships. Have you done any partnerships? If yes, why? If not, then why not?
Partnerships with other software companies.
You could say like vendors, so that help your product,
or associations, perhaps. Or
hey, Martin, I just took your voice then and just done it for you. You owe me one for that.
We do partner with a couple of industry organizations like SMPS, for example, who is very active in the marketing and growth professionals for construction and professional services. But from other software companies, like bigger companies' perspective, we haven't partnered with anyone just yet because, again, we have been uber focused on that one specific problem and understanding that problem and solving that problem for our customers. As we continue to build, we are launching Adobe InDesign integration pretty soon. And then we'll start with, SharePoint, OneDrive, Google Drive, Dropbox in next couple of weeks, I guess. And then we'll go towards larger database integrations later this year. But we have built the infrastructure for that already on day one.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Okay.
It's all intentional. It's all intentional from our perspective. Like we're trying to just stay uber focused.
Sounds like it, yeah. Well, if you got any case studies that you could share with us briefly?
Yeah, case studies and ROI, right? If you think about, so what I'm seeing three trends from our customers right now. Like one of our customer mentioned that their goal for using Joist was 2% growth from revenue perspective, which is incredible. I'm seeing some patterns from ROI perspective. Number one, what I've heard from our customers is they've been able to double the productivity of their team. So essentially 30 to 40% efficiency gain across the board is what they're seeing. Number two is they're able to go after more projects, which is incredible, which means, again, more chances of winning. And number three was super surprising for me, and that makes me actually happy because what I heard from some of our customers is their staff is less stressed about doing their work now because they know where exactly to find things and make things easier for them. Again, that essentially helps us, makes me feel like we're solving the purpose.
Okay. Where do you want Joist to be in 10 years?
So again, we want to stay focused on the revenue-focused workflows. Going after all the business critical workflows that impact the growth of the company is what we will stay focused on. What we are not going to be is the CRM, is what we are super clear about. So everything that comes between the CRM and winning the project is what we'll end up building. Now, if you think about, like, I'm sure you studied go-to-market motions for SaaS at this point, and go-to-market for SaaS and software industry is down to science. Like, how many people are visiting the website? How many are submitting my form? Percentages. What's your CAC? What's your, retention rate? You know every single data point. Those KPIs don't exist in our industry right now. And in 10 years, I see Joist basically being an answer to a data-driven growth for AEC firms in a grand scheme of things.
Yeah. Last question on Joist product for me would be just on the data side. Like, do you guys keep your customers' data, or does it?
No, so customers own their data. So what we do is we have created basically different databases for different customers. So that fundamentally is separate from each other. All the learnings and all the models are being saved locally as well, in a way. So to answer your question, no, we don't own or we don't keep the data for our customers.
Lovely.
And on that note, I do want to point out that we invested into security from day one. So we are a SOC 2 Type 2 compliant company. We are also ISO 27001, 2717, and 2718 compliant company. So that basically highlights our emphasis and commitment towards security in general. Very recently, we signed agreements with OpenAI and Anthropic for zero data retention, which means all the data we are sending to them is not saved legally by them, because we have infrastructure and guardrails in place on our side to make sure that we are using it ethically.
Yeah, sounds good. Is it like ChatGPT where you can pay more for them not to use your data to train their model or something like that?
You could say that, but we are using generative AI and LLMs in more than chat use cases. Really, building the agentic framework and leveraging the chains to execute certain tasks is what we excel in.
Yeah. Okay, I'm really excited for the next subject, but I think that we should just open it with a question on, and because Rohan, I know your brain is like Pandora's box on this subject, so tell us about AI documentation management. As broad as we can go.
Yeah, I feel like I have opinions on documents in general, right? I personally don't think they should exist because if you think about documents, they're a form of information exchange from point A to point B. And what people are doing is they're essentially taking data out from one database, putting those into a document, and then sending it to someone to consume informed documents. And those individuals are taking that document and putting it back into a database. So it's a full circle, right? So why do we have documents? Let's cut the middleman. But again, it's a business need, business necessity. You have to have some form of a document to communicate and
to transport this data from place to place.
So I do feel
it's a ledger, right?
Yeah. It's contractual. It's legally binding, form of information. I guess you can say that. So what AI can do for documents, I truly believe it would essentially transform the way we look at documents, the way we store documents, the way we query the information and retrieve the information and knowledge from documents at a scale. Think of a large project with 5,000 RFIs and thousands of submittals happening on a daily basis. And if you think about the way project teams are structured in our industry, you typically have that one or two individuals on the job site or a project team who knows everything about the project. That's like a brain of the project. You can essentially call them Alexa or Siri for the project, that everybody can go and ask questions and get responses. So I do feel like AI is at a point where we can essentially build that knowledge hub for projects, knowledge hub for project teams, where you can use the documents and data you have on the project and essentially start building that source of information for the projects. That's a long answer for your very simple question, by the way. Sorry.
I love it. No, that's what we wanted. Yeah.
And are these being built internally in companies, or are these like third-party apps that can be adjusted to a particular use case?
That's a great question, actually. And if you had asked me this question and opinion on this question 5 years ago, I would have said every construction company should build it internally, or architecture firm or engineering firm should build it internally. But my opinion's changed now. I personally feel that it's better built via vendor, because then you're getting that experience to do certain things certain way in a magical way than trying to build it internally. Because building internally, again, time and resources. You're spending valuable time for your own resources to go build something. And if you think about building a product and the science behind building a product, the intent for, from going from point A to point B shouldn't be biased on day one. You have to essentially do a lot of discovery and Q&A sessions, R&D sessions with target customers, and understand the problem first, and then build a product to essentially solve that problem. When you build internally, I've come to a conclusion, realization that a lot of teams essentially have a bias already. They know the solution, and they go do build that solution on day one to solve that very particular problem without thinking the cases around that problem. And they end up building a product that doesn't drive engagement at the end of the day, which basically means that you're failing at delivering and solving that problem. Does it make sense?
Yes.
So if it's an easy solution, go build it internally. But if it's document management and solving that big overarching problem of knowledge discovery, I would always recommend the fellow industry professionals to go find a vendor that's actually focused on solving this problem and has partnered with a lot of different firms across the board to solve that problem.
What are main
So, go on.
What are main challenges when building a documentation management product?
I think it's consistency, right? There are different forms and shapes of these documents in general. Now, if you think about contracts, you will see a pattern where contracts are pretty consistent as a form of documents. If you look at drawings, the overarching theme is pretty consistent. You have a title block and you have information in that particular title block about that particular sheet. But again, every title block, every company has a different way of laying out that title block. Every scope and trade has different way of doing those title blocks. So the variation from the baseline could become challenging as you start building the solution. So building for variations is a challenge, in my opinion. Now, I live in a domain with proposals, which is actually even worse from that perspective, because every company has 100 different way of laying out those proposals, and each proposals have different layout for different topics. Like resumes are laid out differently, project profiles are laid out differently, cover letters are laid out differently. So how do you build workflows and extraction process where you can actually standardize that extraction and essentially build that knowledge graph is something that we go through on a daily basis from a challenge perspective. There was a different tangent again.
I think you answered it. There's definitely some. I just wanted to follow up with how maybe this is also a challenge, but how do you deal with like the rapidly changing environment with AI, and also maybe then what have been some of the developments that since when you sort of incepted with Joist are like now sort of influencing the product that you're building?
It's a really good question, and you just have to come to terms with the rapidly changing environment. I mean, it's a sandstorm right now. You can't really see through things unless you see through things, right? I can specifically tell from Joist's perspective, we built a pretty sophisticated extraction workflow on day one. We spent about 11 months building it, and suddenly that was outdated because language models were out, and we could basically scrape out half of our work right there, and we ended up doing that. So I think staying agile and staying informed matters a lot in a grand scheme of things. Being able to adapt to the change also is again time and resources, but something that you have to do regardless as you grow. Now, if you think about where the industry is going from AI perspective, is the models are becoming smarter and smarter in a way. The modality is becoming more prominent as we go. So, GPT-4o, for example, has capabilities to not only ingest the images and voice, but also give an output right there as well. So you'll see that trend rising in near term, which would be significantly important for our industry specifically, because most of the industry runs on drawings, and you need a model that can essentially ingest those drawings and learn about those drawings. So I think there is an opportunity for someone to come in and basically fine tune a model, take a smaller model like Llama, and then essentially fine tune on top of the industry knowledge, and then basically build workflows on top.
Yeah. What about like next level? Someone mentioned to me, okay, I'm going to pretend like I know what I'm asking about here. I'm just going to mention the word AI agents. Because someone said it to me the other day, like this is the next big thing, but I couldn't tell you what it is. I don't know, Rohan, if it's something you come across.
Yeah, so we actually deal with agents on a daily basis. If you think about agents, right? What are agents? Think of them as
Middleman.
Yeah, or a human, a digital replica of a human. Agents are built to execute very specific tasks and very specific framework, if you think about it. Behind the curtains, agents is basically chain of prompts. So you're essentially prompting the AI model to do X, Y, Z. And then if some output comes your way, do X, Y, Z, and then go this way and this way and this way. So chaining those prompts together is what agents are built on top of it. So I do feel that AI, like LLMs, are getting their reasoning capacity to the next level right now that allows us to build those logics and those chains really efficiently to execute those tasks in general. From Joist perspective, we have at least like 15 different agents working on the back end right now, pretty much on a frequent basis to, manage the data, organize the data, and manage the knowledge graph in general. So I do feel the agents are going to be prominent, but I also feel that modality is going to be important aspect as we go into the next year or so as well.
What's
These
modality,
models are,
sorry?
so if you think about if you think about ChatGPT, right? You can basically communicate with ChatGPT with form of text, right? And ChatGPT used to send you text output back up again.
Yeah, chat.
Now, right, chat. But now you can essentially type something and also paste a screenshot of for example, if you're building an Excel spreadsheet, you can say, hey, I want to build a formula on cell D15 by using values in A14 and A13 by doing this, right? And paste a screenshot of that Excel spreadsheet. GPT is smart enough to read that spreadsheet and then basically give you a formula based on your prompt. So it's able to see now. It's going to start, being able to listen pretty like already, and then give an output in voice format as well. So it's basically being able to communicate in different forms, like different modes, in voice, text, and image modes, which is basically modality, right? The impact on our industry is tremendous, because if you think about a superintendent or even a security guard on the gate, right? What that security guard on a gate on a project is doing is that person is keeping an eye on who's coming, who's going, what vehicles are coming in, what time, and keeping a log of things, right? That can be 100% automated at this point, because models can see things now and interpret things now really, really, really well. In the past, if you think about it, that particular task of building a very specific model to recognize objects, to understand what object is, and basically log them into a system, that entire flow would have taken years to build, but now you can basically build it pretty.
Amazing. You're blowing my mind. Yeah.
So I got a question on. So recently I was on a conference next build, and here in London a few days back, and someone said that startup should focus on building solutions rather than features, and it actually made sense to me. Within document management and product building within this space, how do you differentiate between a feature and a solution to a problem?
That's actually a really deep question.
I'm sorry.
No, this is actually a really, really good question. If you think about, I do feel like they go hand in hand regardless. Features are just, more bells and whistles on top of a problem in general. But I think going back to your solution comment, every product needs to basically be built on top of a very specific workflow in general. Think of an RFI workflow, for example. How an RFI is born, if you think about it, majority of time for a general contractor, a subcontractor or trade partner or someone from the field is communicating to the office that, hey, we have a problem and we need to ask this question to the owner or architects or engineers. And then someone in the office will take that question, write that question in a really good fashion, find related documents like drawings or details, and then send that question to the architect or engineering firm through an RFI like a Procore, right? So that's the basic workflow. Now, if you think about the feature is adding more people on that particular workflow to make it collaborative, or adding notifications to certain parties to, get notified, or, doing certain things certain way, being able to mark up the drawing could be a feature which can be done on top of it. I'm just trying to simplify and answer this ad hoc. But solving that fundamental workflow matters the first. If you aren't solving that fundamental workflow, all these features and bells and whistles are not important at all.
Yes.
Right. So I think that's where that question is coming from. So to answer your question, I do believe that as someone trying to build that product on a day-to-day basis, it's really important to have your ears on the ground and essentially talk to your users on a daily basis, multiple times for multiple hours as a routine. When you do that, you start understanding their problems and workflow specific challenges on a daily basis that allows you to go target those specific workflows and solve those problems for the customer.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Did we cover what areas of construction that you think that AI will, or like specifically within documentation, which AI will disrupt? I don't like the term disrupt. I always say that, but impact.
I think it's all up for grabs right now. I do have a hypothesis where existing giants like, Procores of the world and Autodesks of the world will start essentially bringing AI to their product to make things better. But if you think about the industry in general, those giants are not solving daily problems either. For example, I do have a hypothesis that you'll start seeing smaller offices as you move into the future, where you don't really need half the people that you need in the office. Because if you think about a construction project from a general contractor's perspective, most of the people are doing documentation in the office, like reviewing submittals, sending emails, meeting minutes, writing RFIs, processing pay apps and change orders, and all its documents, right? And you'll start seeing agents come into life that will start automating those problems, which will essentially put people in the field, which means we can build more in general. So I think you'll start seeing that trend coming into life in the next couple of years in general, as the model and infrastructure becomes more affordable as we go, which already is. The second thing I feel will start happening is people will be truly able to focus on their main job, like their job in general. Because if you think about the evolution of our industry, 25, 30 years ago, you had engineers engineering things, you had architects architecting and designing things, and you had builders building things. As we started, evolving, you started, separating people from their jobs to towards different roles. For example, BIM. You took a builder and reassigned that individual to manage BIM, for example, manage sustainability, manage financials and accounting on a project. So we started basically separating the resources we had. I do believe that AI fundamentally will start making these workflows even easier, so we can actually start allocating those resources back to their jobs in general. That solves the resource problem that we have as an industry.
Love it.
How document management companies fail? Why they fail?
As failures just yet. It's too early to call out failures right now. But I do feel that failures will happen when someone tries to do everything. Because it's really easy to go do everything. For example, hey, I'm going to solve all your problems in your field, and I'm going to automate everything for you. And you're essentially, delivering a half-baked cookie to your users, which will basically create a lot of waste and inefficiencies in a grand
Perhaps
scope.
that's why you don't want to become a CRM as well, yes?
stay focused.
Yes.
Stay focused, solve that one problem really well, and delight your customers, delight your users, and then build on top of it.
Yeah, because if you have one problem, you're solving one solution, you're solving one problem, so that means it's a solution for something rather than having lots of features to lots of problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you see this trend as well from a lot of document management companies, because if you think about a construction project, you have drawings, you have specs, you have contracts. There are a lot of forms of documents. And when you're trying to build something specific to a form of document, you need to really understand deep into that form of document. Contracts, for example, document crunch, for example, or provision, both of them are doing a fantastic job going deep into that particular domain and figuring it out. Can someone build a solution that ingests contracts? Absolutely, it's easy. But you can go deep into that particular domain and figure out the workflows for everybody, right? So staying focused is going to matter a lot as we go into the next phase of AI.
Yeah. So you just said what I understood. You just said that there will be no consolidation because each of the problems that particular companies solve are very deep, and to understand this problem and solve it, it requires just a lot. So that's why there will be no one company that will deal with all of the document management and verticals within workflows.
Absolutely. I do believe that no one company will solve an overarching problem. Now, the existing companies might say, hey, we have AI that can allow you to query the data and ask questions to your database. It's a pretty simple thing to do in a grand scheme of things, but for you to really solve a particular problem, you're going to have to spend a year going into deeper.
Yeah. Would it get to a point, Rohan, where the AI becomes so powerful that like it's hard for AI companies to have a moat anymore? Like it's almost like I don't want to say general artificial general intelligence, but like where do you get the question?
Yeah. I mean, I think AI is already powerful. If you go ask ChatGPT right now about how to design a building, it will basically write about how to design a. Now it's another story if it's right or wrong, it's accurate or not, is it deep enough or not, right? So AI is always going to be powerful, but again, going deeper into one use case and then basically building more context around that use case is going to make AI even more better in general to deliver that solution, right? So if you think about proposals or contracts or drawings and estimating or schedule as a workflow, if you ask a GPT right now to talk about those or do certain things about those in certain fragments, it can absolutely do that right now. It doesn't stop from people saying that, hey, look, I can do that right now. But how is a schedule built for a project? It's built on a very, specific way, specific conventional wisdom, specific workflow, specific collaboration, and bringing that workflow together to deliver that process and adding AI on top of it will make the workflow even more efficient in a grand scheme.
So Rohan, looking at the broad spectrum of document management companies or solutions, is there any underpenetrated vertical that you can spot?
I would say the field operation, like the job sites, are in a way underpenetrated in a grand scheme of things. Now, I know a lot of folks are trying to solve the problem of put all your data in one place and we'll make it will help you answer the questions right now, which is again an easy case. But if you think of a superintendent, for example, think of a foreman, for example, they're trying to coordinate a lot of things on a daily basis. They're trying to make decisions about a lot of things on a daily basis. So how do you augment their time and how do you augment their the schedule and coordination by automating certain workflows and giving them insights into certain things ahead of time would change the way we build things, in my opinion. And I feel like that's like a co-pilot for a superintendent or AI replica of a superintendent is something that I would love to see in coming time.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant one. Okay, I don't really have any more on the AI front.
Yeah, pretty much. Mine are exhausted as well.
Hey, Ryan, I just have to have a bit of fun with this one, but we see a treadmill in the background. How important is for a startup founder to own a treadmill?
In the
It's
garage.
very important. I actually use that as my stress buster, to be honest. Like I spend really ridiculous time with our customers to listen their problems. And sometimes I turn off the camera and go on a treadmill.
Nice. Walk off the pain.
Yeah. I have a rowing machine behind that as well that you won't see, but you might see that.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, nice. Cool. All right, Martin, anything from you?
No, Rohan, so where people can find out more about you and Joist AI?
Joist.ai is the website, and I'm basically everywhere with my first initial and last name, R. Jawali, is my username pretty much everywhere. So you can find me any platform with R. Jawali.
Okay, Rohan, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys. This was fun. This was awesome.